cause. Dealing with the condition itself is not enough.
Dear Mr. Massa, I'm just trying to mind my own business. What's the matter? It's just another day, another black king captured. I'm about to lose my brain, stuck inside this ghetto rapture. I got a lot of smoke. If you want it, you can have it. They want a hat trick, but this is black girl magic. Ain't talking about the kind that'll make you disappear, but I'm talking about the power of the melanin within. Ain't looking for trouble, but I'ma say this one time. I put two dukes up if you try to touch mine. We still want justice for Tamir and Trayvon. You say you don't see color, but racism ain't blind. They targeting little kids whose skin look just like mine. So I'm paranoid, it's a war zone outside. And I'm a black queen, so if you ask me to step out of my car, you gon' have to snatch me. Cause I ain't going no damn well. Had to spend my whole life living unfair. Ancestors got my back and they right here. You can never understand, it's a nightmare. Living in my black shoes by the black rules. You can keep your handshake, I don't dap coons. The white man will go nuts if he cash you. But you all on his side like a damn fool. Make it make sense.
We are oppressed.
Queen.
We are exploited. We are downtrodden.
Make it make
Queen.
We are
sense.
denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation
Queen.
away from us or aside from us is come together
Queens.
against the common enemy. Who taught you to hate the texture of your
Ahmadiyyah.
hair? Who taught you to hate the color of your skin?
Ahmadiyyah.
Parents, pay attention to the books, the school system, even to your little children. Lies mixed with wisdom. His skin too bright, so he was blind to the prison. My skin just right, so I collide with division. You trying to pray to God, but we tired of religion. No savior saving, we got to save our savings. We used to pay miss, how we gon' make the slave rich? But who's to blame, and tell me why you complaining? We need a team effort just to rule the nation. Like a bad relationship, missing communication. We missing moderation. They're trying to get a poison to my population. No reparations. I'm getting tired of Satan.
We are oppressed.
I'm
Queen.
getting tired of waiting.
We are downtrodden.
Queen.
We are denied not only civil rights, but even human rights.
Ahmadiyyah.
So the only way we're going to get some of this
Ahmadiyyah.
oppression and exploitation.
Queen.
Right. Hello. Grand Rising, everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, I know I said I was coming on earlier, but I forgot the landscapers came today or were coming today. And they're making so much noise. I hope they're done, okay? I hope they don't come back. So with that all being said, let's see who is all in here. All right, Claudette, Sierra, 504, Nola, Deronda, 5 ranks is here, Jeff ATL, Desmond. All right, Odd Negroes Official. All right, so that all being said, shout out to all of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen. I see you, Vivtex or VixTex. Okay, shout out to everyone. And a big shout out to my moderators for putting in work. I see you, Perplex. And it's Bree to you. I rock with you. TV is here. Okay, so retired federal banks. Okay, so let's get into it. DJ Big Six. All right, Cookie. Jeff ATL. Did I say you? Just anticipate. Okay, Queen Sam. So shout out to everybody. I love y'all to life. Let's get into it. Before we do, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts, and you can also find it at Walmart.com. Now, and also she has beard oil. Okay, so now with that all being said, let's get into it. Okay, we have a lot to discuss. We really do. First things first, let's talk about Governor Greg Abbott. Let's talk about Governor Greg Abbott because He's sending troops. He's already given Trump the okay to, to take some of his troops to send them to Illinois. But also, he gave a press conference the other day talking about people that commit violent crimes in Texas and how he, in fact, was going to target them. Now, I don't know about you all, but I don't like when I hear law enforcement, the government, political officials talking about targeting. Because when you start using those type of words, of course, you're basically saying you're coming after a specific group of people. Now, I don't like violent crime either. I'm sure none of us do. But the bottom line is there are some people who commit violent crimes that have never been caught. So how are you going to assess them and the danger that they may in fact pose while you're looking for people who've previously committed violent crimes? What about those who've done the same but never been caught? And here's the thing. The reason this is important to note is because I'm telling you that this seems to me that he's going to be targeting Black folk. And see, another thing is this. People like Charlie Kirk, when they would give those false statistics and percentages saying how Black people commit all this crime, well, it's easy to try to blame the crime on Black people. Okay, it's easy to do that because the Black people are the ones so, largely demonized and vilified in the news. Okay, in the news media, and narratives are often painted to make things seem as though there's something they actually absolutely are not. Also, we're blamed when we don't even have anything to do with anything. We always blamed. We're the first ones to be used as scapegoats. But the thing is also, many people who don't look like me, they go out here and commit crimes and they just don't get any consequences for it because maybe their mom and dad knows one of the city officials. Maybe their uncle or cousin or somebody is, a member of law enforcement. Okay? We absolutely know these things happen. We know that they get slaps on the wrist, and in some cases, they don't even get charged. All right, I told you all the story, and I'll tell it again. Years ago, when I was working with this family, they actually owned their own business, and I was working there. And the 16-year-old grandson of the president of the company got pulled over by the cops one night and had a whole Ziploc sandwich bag full of ecstasy. Okay? And so with that all being said, you think he got arrested? Well, no. When they saw his address and asked him who his parents were, well, they just took him home and told his parents what he had done. Now, mind you, they did keep the sandwich bag full of the ecstasy, but nonetheless, he wasn't taken to jail. He wasn't charged. These things happen all of the time. So if they're letting people who don't look like us get away with crimes, and if they're targeting people who look like me, and if they're never letting people who look like me get away with crimes, who's going to be disproportionately in prison? That doesn't mean that we're committing most of the crimes. And in fact, like I said, if you really look at the statistics, it still doesn't say that. Okay, we're not out here committing most of the crimes. That's all lies, cap, and BS. But the bottom of the fact of the matter is, though we're not committing all of the crimes or even most of them in many cases, we're the ones doing most of the time for them. Okay? Because they don't sentence us the same. They're sentencing disparity. All right. So, anyway, with that all being said, when Greg Abbott says we're going to target you, I assure you that he's talking about Black folk. And I want you to pay attention because, see, this stuff that Trump is doing, this is all going to trickle down. See, it's not going to be only Trump and his nefarious administration that we have to worry about. We're going to have to worry about people like Governor Brian Kemp, Governor Greg Abbott, because these people are all on the right. Okay. And they know that Trump will pretty much let them do whatever they want to do as it pertains to targeting certain people. All right. Now, with that all being said, let's go to some reports about that. I'm going to go to these TikTokers, and then I'm going to show a bit of his speech. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Denise King says placing liars in charge, lying charges on Black people is what's really going on. Well, it absolutely is, beloved. I mean, here's the thing. The situation with the situation we talked about last night. Okay, and if you all missed that broadcast last night about Kyron Lacey, please make sure you check that out because the situation with him is a prime example of how the police will lie and make up charges and absolutely frame Black folk. This has been going on forever in this country. It's nothing new. So that's why they can miss me with it when they try to act like we're committing all the crime. Okay, when they commit crimes that are hate crimes, okay, felonious. All right, felonious capers, they're out here committing hate crimes to boot. They know that somebody's taking these men and putting them in these trees. They know that. They know what's really going on, but so they lie and cover things up. So of course we're going to look like the bad guys when really, I'm sorry, but we're the victims of the most hate crimes. Okay? We're not the ones out here committing them. We're the victims of them. But they don't want to call it what it really is. And let me tell you something. I told you all the other day why I believe that they lie about these hate crimes and call it something else. Okay? Why they call it something else like self-deletions and don't say what it really is, not only because of Michael Donald's mother suing the Klan and winning, okay, years ago, but and also out of fear, not only just for fear of us retaliating, but also me and Lisa Cabrera were talking about this the other day. And another reason is because they don't want the FBI to get involved. Okay? See, as soon as it's deemed a hate crime, here comes the FBI. So they don't want them showing up. So before they can even get here, we'll just say nothing to see here, folks. There's no evidence of foul play. Everybody can go on home. Question is, how can they tell you that within an hour of finding the person? You see, the police are not pathologists, nor are they trained in that field of expertise. Okay, they're absolutely not. Okay, they're not coroners. All right, they don't know how to perform autopsies. They may have witnessed an autopsy being performed at some point if they went to college for criminal justice, which most police officers do not go to college. That's a fact. Most police officers do not go to college, but they should. I think that if you become a police officer, you should be forced to go to college for criminal justice. And you know why I think that? Because that's how you know the law. That's how you gain a full understanding and knowledge of the law. You see, these police officers go to this academy for what, 9 months? Like Colin Kaepernick once said, that's the equivalent of someone going to school to learn how to do hair. Cosmetology takes 9 months. So a lot of these police officers, if you ask me, we've seen the videos, they don't seem to know the law themselves. And we all know that some people are slackers and don't pay attention in class. So there's a lot of that. I think they should have to go to college and at least get an associate's degree in criminal justice so they know what the hell they're doing and even more so what they're talking about. And also, if they did that, they would have to take a class in ethics. Not that that would make any of them any more ethical, but you can always hope, right? So anyway, with that all being said, let's get into this whole thing about Greg Abbott. We're going to talk about this Black man who also was found hanging from a tree. We're going to get into his story. But first, and we're going to talk about all of these dead bodies turning up in Houston. Houston clearly has a problem, but so does America. And America's problem is wanton supremacy, extremist. Okay. And also, by the way, I don't know if you all heard it. We're going to talk about Trump this evening, but they're saying that Trump is basically trying to say anybody going against the right or saying anything, certain things about the right is going to be deemed a terrorist. It's going to be like, called terrorism. Now, why is that important? I'm so glad you asked. Do you all remember? Please put a one in the chat that I told you this back in 2022. At the same time that I told you they're going to bring and implement the social credit reporting system, the same that they have in China. When I told you all about that and I told you to get ready because here it comes, I also told you this was going to happen, that those of us who speak out and against things that they don't want us speaking about, they will deem us as terrorists. You all are putting ones in the chat, so clearly you remember. Okay, I just want you all to pay attention to how my predictions are always very accurate. Okay? and they want to blame everything and gaslight and deflect and try to act like the left is the problem. But all of these people that are putting people in trees, who do you think these people are? You think these people are on the left or the right? Okay, these people are mad about Charlie Kirk. Nobody's going to fool me. You mean to tell me there's been how many people found swinging from a tree since Charlie Kirk has passed away? Let's talk about it. Okay, so there's three hangings that we know of. Actually, there's four because I forgot about the guy that was in the shed. Okay, we'll exclude him for now because we don't really know the well, we're not going to exclude him because we don't know the details of any of it because so many lies have been told. So we'll say there's the guy that was found in the shed, okay, on the white man's property with it padlocked from the outside, mind you, and they want to tell us, oh no, they're mistaken. I don't think that they meant that it was padlocked from the outside when the body was found. I think that it was padlocked after the fact, so because the owner didn't want anybody hanging around. Remember that? Yeah, it was clearly padlocked while he was in there. They could miss me with it. Okay. And then we have, of course, Trey Reed. Then we had Corey Zerkadis, which they said he was white initially, but now there's a picture of clearly a black man. He's biracial. Okay, so I'm pretty sure that's who it was. Okay, and then now we have the two young ladies who were hit by the car, okay, plowed down in the streets by a Charlie Kirk fanatic who had been stalking one of them anyway for months. And then got extra mad and upset when he said she was talking greasy about Charlie Kirk online. Let's not forget that Trey Reed also this was done to him because of Charlie Kirk, because he was defending someone who had said some things that Charlie Kirk fans and fanatics didn't like online. They were taunting that person and he defended them. So now look what happens. Okay? So and now this man right here, Javon Maurice Given, that's his name. And so now here is another person found in a tree. Okay? So anyway, let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. This is all crazy. Okay, I'm going to first go to Abbott's speech. I'm not going to, but I want you all to hear this. As a matter of fact, before I go to his full speech, I'm going to play these TikToks because they actually have the main part of his speech. I believe it's in TikTok, okay?
Ability to see into the future. Take a look.
Announcing a crackdown that targets repeat violent criminals.
We can get them traffic stopped before they commit the crime, and if they're in possession of certain tools, we charge them with a felony.
We will be able to get to that repeat offender before that repeat offender will be able to get to their next victim.
That with making sure we stop somebody and they have the tools, we can arrest them before they commit the crime.
This is basically about Governor Greg Abbott cracking down on minorities and underrepresented people and trying to get as many minorities, brown and black minorities, into prison. Those of you who live in areas where you know are regularly targeted, be careful, take notice, be aware of your surroundings, watch out for your loved ones, warn your children, because they're coming.
We are coming for you. We're going to target you, arrest you, and put you where you belong, which is behind bars.
Number one, you'll see an increased uniform presence in patrol operations in high crime areas. But what you're not going to see is the covert operations going after these. The ones that have warrants are easy because we'll just go get them. There's others that we know they're in violation of their bond, probation, or parole. We'll get warrants on them and we'll go get them. We've got a Homeland Security Division in Austin, Texas that's putting together a target list of who to target.
All of who the repeat offenders are. And so we're able to target them, by zip code, by address, whatever the case may be.
Once someone has committed a violent crime, the chances of them committing another offense, violent or not, are far too high.
In addition to that, we're going to make sure that they're in compliance, whether they're on bond, probation, or parole. Violent crimes, you don't go get a job and start going to church on Sunday. They're thugs.
Most violent crimes in the Houston area are committed by repeat offenders. The goal is to target and take down repeat violent offenders. We highlight a little bit of those who will be swarming these operations in these neighborhoods. They include Texas DPS troopers, DPS special agents, members of the Houston Tag Center, Texas Rangers, supported by the Department of Homeland Security of DPS as well as DPS aircraft. An effort to crack down on dangerous repeat offenders in the Houston area. Houston can be the national model for public safety in America's largest cities. Houstonian deserves to be able to walk the streets, take their kids to school, open their businesses, go shopping or dining, all without fear. We will focus on driving down violent crime in this area.
Repeat violent offenders are responsible for a big portion of crime.
The release of dangerous criminals by judges in Harris County is a contributing factor at a minimum. And that is, what do we define as a high crime area? We know, for the most part, and find ways of dealing with them that I will not disclose right now that will enable law enforcement to try to get to them and maybe arrest them and get them off the streets before they get to their next victim. To be clear, and then later this month, Texans across the entire state are going to have the opportunity to vote on a constitutional amendment requiring the denial of bail to the most dangerous criminals in our state.
Governor Abbott has announced that he will be sending state troops into Houston, Texas, our largest Texan city and the third most diverse city in the United States of America, and that is not a coincidence that he has chosen Houston as his starting ground. Now let me first back up and say that this is not President Trump doing it at this point, although he has said that he plans to do it in every city. Washington, D.C. was his first experiment, and now he's doing Chicago, and we have seen, and if you haven't seen, please go look it up, what has been happening in Chicago when just 2 nights ago an apartment complex was raided. Men, women, children indiscriminately pulled out of their beds in the middle of the night, no warrant, Fourth Amendment rights violated, children zip-tied together on the streets in their night clothes, if they had any clothes on at all, because some people, to sleep in their underwear or whatever, and the black residents in one van, the Hispanic residents in another van. That's what is happening in Chicago. Now, they are saying that they are keeping families safe. And you will see that that is what Greg Abbott is saying as well. I'm going to put up here the title of the YouTube video so you can go look it up himself. Underneath the YouTube video is the transcript. I'm going to ask you to pay very close attention to his rhetoric. It's the same rhetoric used by Kristi Noem and the rest of the Trump administration regarding what they are doing, how they are justifying pulling people out of their homes. Okay, American citizens alike. They're saying that they are keeping communities safer by going after violent criminals. They keep repeating that. Dangerous criminals, repeat offenders. These are dog whistles. They sound nice. That's what a dog whistle does. It sounds nice so that they have plausible deniability. But when you're paying attention and putting it in context of everything else, you know that any one of us under this administration can be labeled a violent criminal at any time, including children sleeping in their beds in the middle of the night in Chicago. After the White House has signed the executive order and put out that press release saying that anti-fascist rhetoric is now, they're calling it terrorism, right? And this is right in parallel with certain 1940s regimes where politically dissonant ideologies, especially far left ideologies, were targeted. We're headed down that same road. I'm just making this video not to provide a solution because I don't know what the solution is right now. Just to bring awareness. Houston is a beautiful city. It is the city that is home. Houston is where we go for medical care because they have the best hospitals and doctors in the world. Houston is home to NASA, where my children, my family, we have taken many day trips to NASA, a wonderful place. We have hosted exchange students and taken them to these wonderful historical sites. There's a big hill on Herman Park, and on any given Sunday, there's families just enjoying the day from hundreds of different backgrounds. That is what has always been beautiful about Houston. No city is perfect, but troops are not supposed to be local law enforcement. Please share this with your friends, family, whomever you might know who are in the Houston area. Please stay vigilant and please stay safe. That's all.
You lied on us the last time and said that our guns were not loaded. We'll let you know they're loaded today.
What I am saying is that I'm draining the swamp of whoever that's in here that's doing some corrupt business at this district. Because let me tell y'all something. Playtime is over.
5 children have been shot since the spring and their cases remain unsolved.
We stood in solidarity with the community and the families on behalf of that because we're against the wickedness, we're against the atrocities, we're against the hideous crimes that's taking place within our community. So we stand against that.
We have Ashley's word. Ashley Keener. We have Ashley's word. We know why you upset. Because your daughter like black coffee, no sugar, no cream. That's why you upset. It's eating you up, baby. It's eating you up, baby.
Okay, so now that last video clip, I included that because here's what I'm thinking. Okay, because you all know I'm always trying to put the pieces of the dots together, right? So what I find interesting is that video with Quanell X and the new Black Panther Party for self-defense, supposedly that video was posted in August. Okay, around August the 8th, if I'm not mistaken. So supposedly they're recruiting for members in the Houston area. Now, do you all think maybe that's why all of a sudden, Governor Greg Abbott wants to start targeting certain people? Okay, because I think that's exactly what that is. Oh, so y'all think y'all about to be militant, come down here, and y'all think y'all about to be out here, protecting y'all's community streets? I think that's what that is. Okay, armed black folk. That's just my opinion. I don't know if that was the reason for this, but I do find it interesting considering the timing of it all. Trees Tree says, are we still waiting for the anti-lynching law? Honey, they just won't give black people what we need. At the end of the day, they don't care. They don't care. They make up all sorts of excuses to not give us an anti-black hate crime bill, reparations, and anything else that we ask for, beloved. Thank you for your question and also for your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you. Peace, love, and blessings. Reggie says, sounds plausible to me, Queen. Mel says, facts. Nene said, bingo. That's what I'm saying. Leon said exactly. See, that's what I'm telling y'all. They have a method to their madness. When they start doing stuff, they always have a reason behind it. It's not just out of the blue. I think that they know that the new Black Panther Party has been down there recruiting, and these people are coming down there armed. Okay, they have their licenses to carry, and I think that's a problem for them because the last thing they want is black people out there defending themselves and black people walking around with guns. There's always going to be some sort of opposition when that happens. Okay, so now let us just crack down. All right, let us just start targeting people because here's what's the problem. They're not going to just be targeting people who are violent crimes, who've committed violent crimes in the past. They're going to be targeting anybody they want to that looks like me. That's how that's going to go because you fit the description. And even if someone has previously committed a violent crime, does not mean that they're going to do it again. That doesn't necessarily mean that. So, in fact, they should not be targeting anyone. And so, like some of you said, this is indicative of or not indicative, but this is like the Minority Report, that movie with Tom Cruise, right? Where they use psychic technology to predict the crimes and the people that were going to commit them so they could stop them before they committed their future crimes. That's what they're doing right here. Basically, that's what they said. Yeah, we can stop them before they commit the crime, before they get their next victim. That's literally what they said. How do you do that? How do you know that somebody's going to commit a crime? Are they oracles? Are they all prophetic? How will they know? And if these people who have previous violent crimes have not committed anything since, why are you targeting them again? And are they going to target the Caucasian people who have previous violent crimes? Because there's a lot of them too. But no, they're not going to target them. That's what they're not going to do. And we all know it. But if we say this out loud, then some of them will say, oh, you're playing the race card. Elon Musk, with his ignorant self, had the nerve to post the other day. I told you all I went in on him and I thought he was going to ban me from the platform. Didn't care if he did. That's why I went in. But he had the nerve to say there's Black privilege because there's one story of a Black man who had committed or had been arrested 39 times previously. I don't know if that's even true. This is what Elon posted, but said he had been arrested 39 times previously and that he was out on the streets and then he killed this white girl and her boyfriend or her father or something like that. It was a sad story. And if he was arrested 39 times and those were felonious and nefarious charges, of course he should have been in jail. Okay, Trump's committed 34 felonies himself. Why isn't he in jail? He's the whole president, Elon, and you were hanging out with him until he ticked you off or you ticked him off. So I find that very interesting and also hypocritical. But that's why I went in on Elon, because he had the nerve to say that was Black privilege when he knows darn well there's no such thing. These racist demons go out here and they paint these narratives and try to act as though we're getting some type of leniency when we really don't. If we had leniency, there wouldn't be sentence disparity. Okay, that's what they wouldn't be doing. There wouldn't be a disproportionate amount of Black people on death row and a disproportionate amount of Black people that were exonerated from death row through DNA testing, showing that they were wrongly convicted. There wouldn't be cases of Black men being released from prison after 30 and 40, spending whole decades in prison for things that they didn't even do. And we find out decades later. But we have privilege. That sounds so ridiculous to me. That's why I had to go in on him. I couldn't even hold it. But this is what they always do. The people that don't like the folk that look like us paint malicious narratives, tell lies, okay, and try to act like we're so bad and we're just out here just doing the most. Are they going to go after these people that don't look like us who have violent criminal histories? The answer is no. Now, with that all being said, let's go to what Tyler Perry said, because I absolutely agree with Tyler Perry. Tyler Perry says he's tired and I'm tired too. Okay, I am tired too.
I'm exhausted from watching white children get away with crimes because their parents had a discussion with the judge over a game of golf, while our children are being locked up for years for crimes that were far less egregious than what their kids are accused of. I'm exhausted from getting onto elevators and white women getting off because I'm 6'6" and Black, and they see a threat before they even know who I am. I'm tired of seeing these murders of unarmed Black men and women, and no one seems to care. It is exhausting. So much so that the writer in me had no words, had nothing to say, until I remember my late mother's voice saying to me, "Baby, weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning."
That's only if you can make it to the morning, unfortunately. Okay? That's only if you can make it until the morning. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about this man who was found hanged. Okay? Let's talk about that. This is also egregious. I see some of you all going in on Tyler Perry, but here's the thing. At the end of the day, whether you like Tyler Perry or agree with everything he says or not, the bottom line is what he just said was the honest truth. Okay? At the end of the day. See, the thing about Black folk is, hold on, I'm going to tell you what's the thing about Black folk before I play this video. Here's the thing about Black folk. I want you all to pay attention because Bernie Mac said this years ago, and it was no lies detected.
One more chance. Watch Bernie Mac talks about how to get into heaven after passing away, and the ending will really make you think.
I had a dream. I passed and I went to heaven. And I was with a Mexican guy and a white guy. I said, man, I want to go to heaven. He said, God, right down the road. He said, but your name ain't on the list, Bernie. You know your name ain't on the goddamn list. I said, well, wait a minute, man. I'm going to try. He said, well, you got one more chance to make it. If you can go down there and you ask the Lord a question and he can't answer it, you might get into heaven. I'm going to go first. He went over to the Lord. He looked at me. I looked at him. I whispered something to the Lord. He looked at me. And he looked up. He looked down. Open the gate! I walked on in. The white guy said, that man, how the did he get in there? Hey, father, what did the black guy ask you? He asked me, when was black people ever going to stick together?
Now, y'all heard that? Ha! That was all facts. The question he asked God that God couldn't answer was when are black people going to all stick together? That's what I'm talking about. Here's the thing. Those of you in the chat, like I said, you don't have to like Tyler Perry. You don't have to agree with everything he says. But what he just said was the truth. Do you not agree? Reppin' Magazine says Pastor Perry laughing my ass off. We listen to him. LOL. Yeah, we are listening to him. Did you not agree with what he said, Reppin' Magazine? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. I have questions. Yeah, like I said, you don't have to agree with everything that he says, but what he just said, was that not the truth? What he just said, was that not the truth, beloved? Do you not agree with that? They do target black children and let white children get away with stuff. Just like I told you all on last night, that 16-year-old white boy who was drinking and driving and then murdered 4 people on the side of the road and didn't get anything but probation because he had what they called affluenza, something that they made up, saying that he was basically rich and privileged and didn't know anything about consequences for his nefarious actions. That's the absolute truth. You see, the thing about you all, some of you, you don't want to listen to Tyler Perry, even though he just spoke the truth. That's why we all can never unite. Because one thing about black people that I hate, that I literally hate, is that most black people, and I've said this at least 1,000 times. Reference Magazine said, I'm for truth no matter who tells it. Well, I can't tell. You literally just said, are we listening to Tyler Perry? And he just told the truth. That's why I posed the question to you, beloved. So if you are for the truth, then you should have no problem with who the messenger is. Because sometimes God chooses the least of us to spread the word. Now, Tyler Perry is a whole billionaire. So whether or not you like him, the fact of the matter is he came out and said something. So I'm sure he can get some attention. He can bring attention to something by simply the fact that he said it because of who he is. While many of these celebrities that look like us don't say any darn thing. Where's Jay-Z? I bet you love Jay-Z. Right? Where's Beyonce? And some of the other black celebrities that y'all love, like Drake. Where's Drake at? Where's Drizzy? So please, y'all can miss me with it. At the end of the day, y'all pick and choose. But some of these people that y'all worship and praise as celebrities that y'all are such big fans of, they don't come out and say a damn thing about black people. Okay? At the end of the day. So when I hear truth, like I said, I'm not going to shoot the messenger. Because if you're speaking the truth, I'm going to listen, no matter who it is. Okay? Like I told you all, when I was in college, they had former Klansmen come and speak to us. Some of the black students didn't want to hear what they said, but I did. Because if you used to be in the Klan, you know about the interworkings of the Klan. You know what goes on within the ranks. You know how they plot and plan and scheme and all the little nefarious things they do and the traps that they set. See, that's why I'm so well versed on these things. Okay? With that all being said, some of you wouldn't have wanted to hear anything they had to say. But I always want to know what the enemy is thinking, and you should too. All right? And when someone is speaking up for black people, whether you like the messenger or not, maybe, just maybe, you should be okay with the message. All right? See, this is what happens when people come out and do speak up for us. So many black people have something negative to say, want to throw stones at them. And then later they'll say, oh, we got no allies. Nobody's going to say anything. And this and that. Oh, the celebrities are quiet. They're not doing anything. But then when some of the celebrities come out, you want to be judgmental. Like I said, you don't have to like that man at the end of the day. If he spoke the truth, just say that. Okay. I always give credit where it's due, whether I like the person or not. Okay. That has absolutely nothing to do with it. Some of y'all need to grow up. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about this black man who was found hanging from a tree, honey. And I can't help but think that this all has something to do with Trump and the energy that he has put out and all of the stuff that's been going on in the wake of Charlie Kirk's assassination, whatever they choose to call it. The bottom line is these people are angry. And these are the people on the right. They can sit there and try to point the finger, blame and shame, and gaslight if they want, and try to act like it's the left or whatever. But we all know where the hate is coming from. It's coming from Trump and his people, okay? As far as I'm concerned. Trump is spewing hate. He's being divisive. He didn't say one word, not one word about those politicians that got killed months ago. That's real crazy to me. Not one word of condolences, empathy, sympathy, nothing. And that's the president. But then he wants everybody to bow down for the people that he like if something happens to them. He commits me with it. Okay, but anyway, like stuff, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. One box says, Queen, good morning. I am 60 plus. If you have ever seen Star Trek. Yes, I have, beloved. I absolutely have. Thank you for your insight into the topic and your contribution to the channel. I appreciate you, beloved. Peace, love, and blessings. Leon said, ever since the Central Park Five. Right. Reggie said, but he wants to speak in the new ballroom. Okay. Such an idiot. Such an idiot. So with that all being said, let's get into it. A black man was found hanging from a tree in Albuquerque's Bosque. His name was Javon Maurice Given, and we will not rest until we get answers. Javon is the third black man to be found killed in what can only be described as lynchings since September of 2025. According to the internet, the body of Javon Given of Kansas City, Missouri, was found hanging from a tree in Albuquerque on October the 1st of 2025. Local law enforcement quickly ruled the death. We already know what, the same as all the rest. But his family has rejected that claim. We're demanding an immediate independent autopsy in full transparency for the Given family and the public. They have a call to action. They say, join us for a community press conference to demand answers. This will be today at 6 p.m. outside the APD and BCSO headquarters at 400 Roma Avenue Northwest. So if you live in that area. 2 days ago, Javon Given, a young man from Kansas City, was found deceased hanging in the woods in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His death was already declared. You already know what it was, but this decision has not been accepted by his family and others. The family firmly believes that Javon's death was not by his own hand, but a homicide. They argue that he was not in that mindset to do anything like that and had moved from Kansas City to New Mexico for a job and a fresh start. This does not seem like the actions of someone who was in the mind frame of doing that, right? Furthermore, this incident is not isolated. There have been 3 black men found dead hanging from trees in less than a month. Y'all don't find that suspicious? This raises many questions that need to be answered. Our condolences goes out to the family and all who knew him. It's been a year since anyone has seen or heard from Javon Given, aka football. Our family is becoming very worried as this is not like him, especially not to contact his sister or myself. His last known whereabouts was in Albuquerque, New Mexico on January the 26th of 2025. Now, he was seen at a Walmart kiosk selling a phone. If you see him or have any information about his known location, even if he's just okay, we just want to know. We just want to know you're okay and alive and well. We love you, football. I guess that was his nickname. Please help our cousin find his way home. And then, so that's the information. Now, this is all prior to him being found deceased, okay, swinging from a tree, October the 1st. Very sad news for the family. My prayers and condolences go out to them. But also, his ex-girlfriend is the one that I heard the news from when I was scrolling on TikTok. Okay, and she did a video, so here we go.
So my mom woke me up this morning to show me a news article that my brother had sent to her. My ex, Javon Maurice Given, was found hanging in a tree in the woods in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Not even a month after covering the Trey Reed story, another black man has been found hanging from a tree. And this time I actually knew him. Like, this is actually so insane to me. And do you know what they're saying? They found another black person hanging in the woods, hanging from a tree. And they're saying he did it to himself. Are you kidding me? Like, I honestly don't even know how to feel right now. And I don't know what was going on in his life at the time. But if one thing's for certain, 2 things are for sure. He did not hang himself in the fucking woods. And as morbid as it sounds, we actually used to talk about shit like this when we were together. And if you actually knew him at any point, at any time in his life, you would know him, just like every other black person in America, would never choose to be hanged from a tree. And do I believe that the police did their job at any point during this investigation? Absolutely not. Just like they never do. So just like Trey Reed in Mississippi, they are trying to sweep this under the rug, but I'm not going to let them. And I don't know how censored or how many TikTok words I will use to replace the actual language. So I don't know if this is actually going to get suppressed or if it will get out there. And if you feel the urge to get in my comments with your condescending, patronizing bullshit, I urge you to keep scrolling and have the day that you fucking deserve. You can keep your fake sorries and your lack of empathy and move the around. Like, do y'all honestly believe in your heart of hearts that it is common practice for black Americans to hang themselves in trees when it is y'all history of hanging and lynching that this country is so desperate to erase? So let me be as clear as I can. If you are silent, you are complicit. If you are patronizing, you are complicit. If you see the racial climate in dumps America and still fix your lips to give fake condolences for a cover-up, you are complicit. And you're one of the worst type of human beings. And I haven't seen this story on my For You page or on TikTok at all. So if you could please spread the word about this, that would be greatly appreciated. So like, share, repost, make your own video if you want, because regardless of my past with him, I'm going to say his name and I'm going to make sure you guys say it too. Javon Maurice Gavan did not unalive himself. This country has claimed another black life because your dictator has made this climate in which these racist pieces of shit can feel superior, justified, and safe in committing these crimes. Because who cares about black bodies, right? Wake the f*** up. Because y'all have always done this, and it has always been us. To the people who are trying to get this story out by whatever means, thank you. Because like I said, TikTok is probably going to suppress this video. But we don't want stories like this being buried. And to all my fellow black people, people of color, and allies alike, I love you. Be safe. Be ready. And we'll see you in the next one.
Okay, so that is absolutely egregious, honey. That is so sad. Can you imagine being the person that knew him? Okay, somebody that you know, and that happens to them? Very crazy. Okay, very crazy. And that's not been on the news. We haven't heard anything about this on the news. I couldn't find one report. I could not find one report. And that's why, in my opinion, that's one of the reasons they want to get rid of TikTok. Because TikTok, you can find out all these things that they try to sweep under the rug. Okay. Now, with that all being said, some of you may remember back in 2020 when the same thing was going on. Okay. With these men being found as strange fruit. There was a story that I told you all about called The Day of the Rope from the Turner Diaries. How many of you remember that? You can put a 1 in the chat. The Day of the Rope. It is a white supremacist concept from the Turner Diaries, which is a fictionalized blueprint for a white supremacist revolution that was written in 1978 by a man that was a neo-Yahtzee, leader, and his name was William Pierce. He went by the pseudonym Andrew McDonald, and the novel influenced many violent right-wing extremists. They don't say anything about the left. Please pay attention. But they say it influenced many violent right-wing extremists from the 1980s through 2010s, including Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh. Are y'all listening? Because I told y'all this 5 years ago that this day would come, and it looks like that day is here. It looks like that day is here. I told you all in 2020 that this day was coming. Now, in the novel, white supremacist rebels have taken control of California. They engage in mass lynchings, and not just of people who look like me, but for the people who look like them that they deem as race traitors, such as journalists, who are not covering the stories the way they want them to be covered, who are not saying what they want them to say, politicians who are speaking out against any of the chaos and the stuff that's going on, women in relationships with non-white men. Okay, these murders, which take place on the same day, are referred to in the novel as the Day of the Rope. And if you don't think that some of these demons are reading this stuff and just getting it all in their head, please think again. So by the 1990s, the Day of the Rope had become a concept well known across, well known across the white supremacist movement, even to the extent that a white supremacist business was selling white power music CDs along with racist paraphernalia and had the nerve to name it Day of the Rope Productions. There was a 1994 song from white power band Bound for Glory that had the lyrics, listen to this, politicians to Pope, there'll be no hope. There is no escaping the day of the rope. During the early 2000s, the term was borrowed for a series of white supremacist music compilations from Eastern Europe. Within a few years, Day of the Rope became a popular white supremacist slogan on social media websites, as did the phrase, there's no escaping the day of the rope. Now, the latter even appearing on a white supremacist flyer created by an neo-Yahtzee, okay, a group that calls themselves Antum-Waffen. All right, another variation is the Day of the Rope is coming. Well, when I told you all about this 5 years ago, I told you that the day is coming. They're not playing games, okay? They're not just using this as propaganda for nothing at the end of the day. So, like I always say, nobody's coming to save us. It's just us. And we don't have time to be sitting here worried about whether or not we should be listening to Tyler Perry. At this point, you need to be listening to anybody who's spreading some sense, who's spreading some truth. Anybody who is speaking out at our behest. Okay, that's what you need to be doing. Nobody has time to nitpick or pick and choose. All right, because guess what? The pickings, whether you know it or not, are quite slim, beloveds. Okay, they're quite slim. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about all these bodies popping up in the Houston Bayous. Now, I waited to report on this story because I said, maybe it isn't a serial killer as many suspect. But then when I saw that the people of Houston were taking it so seriously that they themselves formed a posse and went out in search of the killers themselves, formed a whole manhunt. I said, these people are very serious and they are very concerned. And you all know that the last time that I told you that there was a serial killer and the police were saying, no, there's nothing to see here, folks. There's no serial killer. I told you there absolutely is a serial killer. And guess what? There was. There absolutely was. Now, I'm not saying there's a serial killer in this situation, because here's what concerns me about this whole thing. There could be, because I find it very interesting that there was like 6 bodies in a span of days. And then there's been 22 bodies in, I believe, a month. But altogether for like 3 years, they said it was 40 bodies. So you got 40 in 3 years, but 22 of them in a month. The math ain't mathing. So that's a cause for concern. But another thing is there's multiple bayous in Houston. Okay. There's multiple bayous. Hold on. Let me just check and see how many there are exactly. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. There's actually 22 bayou systems, okay, in Houston. So with that all being said, you can't be too sure. It could be, it could not be. I don't know. I want to wait till more information comes out. But what I do see that has come out thus far is very interesting. And I'll tell you what makes me even more suspicious is the police coming out and the mayor coming out and telling the people that there is no serial killer. Well, I happen to know that they don't know that. I happen to know for a fact that they don't know if there's no serial killer. You know how I know that? Well, I'm so glad you asked, because I'm a serial killer expert, as I often remind you all. And the fact of the matter is that any given time in the United States, there are at least 25 to 50 serial killers. I believe there's actually more than that. Some reports say it could be up to 300. But at any given time in the United States, there's multiple serial killers operating. I promise you that. We may not know where they are and who they are, but at any given time, there's serial killers operating in this country. And it's not just one or two or three. So with that all being said, why would they sit there and say, as if they have such extreme certainty, that this ain't no serial killer? They should have just said, we don't know. But also what bothered me is the fact that they seem so angry, so adamant to make these people believe that there's no such thing. Why are you saying all of this? And why are y'all so hostile about it? And also, why are they saying that by saying this, you're interfering with the investigation? How the hell is somebody being afraid that there's a serial killer, or even multiple people being afraid there's a serial killer? How is that interfering with any investigation? The police don't have to listen to what the people are saying. All they need to do is follow the evidence, speak to the witnesses, gather the clues, and all of that. That's what they need to be doing. How is the people saying what they think and believe all of a sudden a problem and interfering in an investigation? It isn't. That's crazy. It makes no sense. And when people don't make sense, it sounds like they're lying. And if you're lying, why? Because now you're starting to sound like those same police that were in Kansas City when they said it wasn't no serial killer. Doesn't see here, folks. And then they even went to my friend that I had on the show, Bishop Caldwell, and told him to shut up about it. Stop talking about it. Don't say anything else. You're going to mess it up for us. Because they were trying to get everything prepared for some type of tourism. They want to come to the, to come there. And they said this will frighten people and people be all upset. But then Timothy Haslett was arrested for being a whole serial killer. Wasn't that his name? I find it all interesting. Okay, I find it all interesting. But now, like I said, these people, the way they're going about all this, they sound just the same. Okay, and by the way, that serial killer Haslett, he is going to be, Timothy Haslett Jr., he's going to trial October the 9th of 2026. Okay, and I'm going to be covering that trial because I was the first one that said that it was a whole serial killer. Now, with that all being said, let's get into some of these reports. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. City leaders say there's no serial killer. Okay. I just wonder how they could be so certain, like I said. Let's get into it.
You have heard by now and voiced your concerns online. A possible serial killer in Houston.
Yeah, rumors sparked by the discovery of 6 bodies found in Bayous in the last 2 weeks. Today, local leaders coming together yet again to try and put those rumors to rest. Katira Winfrey was there for the news conference. She joins us live in 3rd Ward with what they had to say today. Katira?
Lynn and Mia, community members say the lack of information is what's so frustrating. And so it's leading their minds to wonder. So what they're hoping is that details like race, age, and gender will be released.
There's a message city leaders want the public to know.
There is no proof that there is a serial killer involved in these killings.
This latest message, days after a 6th body was pulled from a Houston area bayou. The mayor and police chief addressed concerns last Wednesday.
So I am here to say, tell us more.
For some, it's not enough.
But 6 on clear days, in less than 2 weeks, people are alarmed.
Counselor at large Letitia Plummer organized a news conference to share those concerns and provide reassurance.
Can we enjoy being a student? Can we enjoy being free? Or do we have to watch around every corner?
For Texas Southern University student Aaron Slaughter, there is a lot of uncertainty, especially since one confirmed Bayou death is a University of Houston student, Jade McKissick.
We have a bunch of mixed emotions on campus. Are we safe? And what happened to Jade?
Plummer says the goal is to provide what she calls deliverables to the community. Basic identifiers like race, gender, and age, while we wait for the medical examiner reports.
We don't want assumptions. This community wants to know what is going on, what is being done.
And police say releasing information like race, age, and gender would need to come from the medical examiner's office out of respect for the families. Reporting live in 3rd Ward, Katira Winfrey, KHOU 11 News.
Lots of concerns, still a lot of talk. Katira Winfrey, thank you.
You know what I also think, beloveds? Family, I think that sometimes that the news, the media, sometimes I know, I don't just think it, but I actually know that sometimes they have to be upset that people on social media are reporting stories before they do, that we figure out things before they do. I know they have a problem with that. And those of you that have been following me, you know, in fact, that they have actually copied my reports. They've literally copied my reports, okay, on several occasions. We all know that. When I did the whole video about the zombie apocalypse protection plan being on the CDC's website and the Pentagon's website, I reported that. And then days later, they reported on it and tried to make it a joke, like it wasn't something to take serious. But if it wasn't to be taken serious, then why would they have these protection programs, okay, or preparedness programs? Why would they have those? Okay. And then the story about Black Lives Matter and the money and all of that, where the money went, that's another one. So it's very obvious to me that sometimes they just are upset because we're putting out these stories first. So they want to make it look like, oh, they don't know what they're talking about. Oh, social media is lying. They're lying. You don't know what you're talking about. Okay. Because it is very irresponsible for them to be saying, these officials specifically, for them to be saying that there is no serial killer. You don't know that. They should have just said, we don't know. We're looking into it. We're investigating. But so far, we've not found any proof that these killings are linked or that these bodies that have turned up, that any of these are homicides yet, because the results haven't come back. We don't know if they're linked or whatever. That's what they should have just said. Okay, that would likely be true. But don't sit there and tell us what it is and when you don't know that for a fact. Another thing I find suspicious is that CBS reported on the same story just a few days ago, and they said, now somebody's lying, because they said that basically that they had all been accounted for, that the deaths, that 5 of them were drownings, just simple drownings, and that another was someone that did that on their own. So I find that interesting because when I looked for other reports, they all said that they had not, made determinations as to how these people died. So I just thought that was interesting because why would they report that? Where did they get that from? Reggie said that was the one that I knew they were copying you, Queen. Okay, thank you, beloved. Exactly. So very interesting, but let's go to the next report. 22 people found dead so far, and then I think they said 40 altogether in 3 years. I'm gonna double check that just to make sure I'm accurate before while you all are watching this.
In the push for more information about people found dead in different bayous around Houston. Officials say 6 bodies have been found in Houston's bayous within just 2 weeks, and records show at least 22 deaths in Houston bayous so far this year. Let's bring in CBS News national reporter Karen Waugh live for us now from Houston. Karen, understandably, many people in the city are afraid that there is someone dangerous out on the loose. Is that a theory?
That's definitely a theory, Elizabeth, but Houston officials say that is not the case. They say these 22 deaths are not related. Officials are really trying to stop these rumors that there's a serial killer on the loose in the city. But understandably, people are afraid that violent crime is growing. You can just imagine 22 deaths in this year alone in nearby bayous. And of those 22, the medical examiner has only released the cause of death for 6 of them. The medical examiner says of those 6, 4 of them drowned, 1 suffered a cardiac arrest, and another died by suicide. And also of those 6, 3 were accidental, 2 involved drugs, and another involved blunt force trauma, officials say. Elizabeth?
A lot of horrible coincidences there, Karen. And Governor Greg Abbott addressed public safety today in a press conference. What did he have to say?
Okay, so that's the report that I was telling you all about from CBS. I don't know where they got that information from, but I'm so annoyed because I didn't mean to play that darn video because she said the S word. Okay, so now I'm going to have to edit the video so it doesn't get a restriction, the age restriction on it. Okay, so anyway, again, there won't be a chat. Shout out to the people that are watching it on the replay, but the chat will be gone. Okay, so now this guy, Isaiah, let's go to his video because he seemed like he was so upset. He was cursing. And I've really never seen him talk like this on his broadcast. Isaiah Carey, he weighed in on the speculation about a serial killer and just sounded so angry. And I'm like, dude, why are you so pressed? Okay. I mean, he literally was mad. So I'm going to go to his coverage. And I want y'all to pay attention, honey, because he was just going off. I'm like, where's all this coming from?
Bayous of Houston or the community. It's what everyone is talking about.
We do not have any evidence that there is a serial killer loose in Houston, Texas. Let me say that again. There is no evidence that there is a serial killer loose on the streets of Houston.
Keep in mind, there are people on social media who just want you to click their posts and leave likes. This is all to gain traction by selling you a bunch of bull. But there is no proof out there yet that there is one single person who is killing multiple people and throwing their damn bodies into the bayous. There have been deaths, yes. Possible murders, yes, but investigators have not linked one suspect to multiple killings. What we also need to keep in mind, in a city this size, we actually have a hidden population of homeless people who also live along the banks of the bayous. Some of them fall in. Some have mental health issues. And yes, some may have committed a crime, even a murder, dumping a body in the waterway. But there is no evidence yet that there is one person doing it. Just imagine what we are doing to families who have no answers about their deceased loved ones. And when we just create a dumbass reason like a serial killer, those families are left struggling with those bull theories. So please try to be patient and let investigators do their jobs before you harm the victims' families with false information. We're also complicating the investigations by interjecting an imaginary butcher on the damn bayou. And of course, I've been riding my bike on Buffalo Bayou for 2 nights in a row. Hadn't seen a serial killer. People are still out there enjoying life at night in boats, on bikes, skating, and sitting and walking, also jogging along Buffalo Bayou. But there is nothing as of yet. Just wait for the investigators to get their answers first. Don't believe everything you read on social media.
Sir, please have several seats. Okay, why was he so mad? Sir, you need to relax. Okay, you need to relax. And then talking about it's affecting the families. Here's the thing. If the family's loved ones are deceased and they've been found dead in the bayou, I'm sorry, but speculation about how these deaths are occurring is the least of their worries, I would think. Okay? I'm sure they would want to know the truth. And that would entail examining all options or whatever. Sir, why is he so darn mad, honey? He sounded like he was clearly pressed. Now I just don't even get it. Okay, he needs to relax. That's all I'm saying. Anywho, that all being said, let me say this. He said has a very nasty attitude. I think that perhaps he's pressed. I think he might be pressed. Like I said, because some of these journalists, they get upset when people on social media are reporting things. He said that people are doing it for clicks and views. Now, some people are just doing it for clicks and views. But at the end of the day, it all seems very suspicious. Okay? It all seems very suspicious because 6 bodies in 2 weeks. Okay, September of 2025, in the month of September, 6 bodies were found in Houston bayous within a 2-week span. fueling concerns among the public. That's just to be, expected. Now, these included the body of University of Houston student Jade McKissick, and one of the bodies was found in Buffalo Bayou near Commerce and Millam Streets. 4 of the 6 bodies remain unidentified. Okay, then in October, some news reports noted that 2025 has seen fewer bodies that have been found in local waterways when they compare it to 2022. So they say the discoveries have prompted official statements from Houston city leaders who have attempted to address public fears and social media rumors of a serial killer. Now, while the police have stated there is no evidence of a serial killer, some residents and social media users have continued to express alarm and skepticism. One criminologist has suggested that environmental factors such as changes in water levels and debris could be contributing to the rise in visible bodies. Oh, so saying that some of these bodies could have already been in the bayous and now they're just rising to the top. That could be true. But people are still going to have questions. So I just don't see the need for the hostility if people are just alarmed and trying to figure out what in the hell is going on. Okay? Now let's get into it because Houstonians swarm bayous in search of rumored city serial killer. These people out here taking matters into their own hands. So in the midst of growing concerns over what some are now calling the Houston Bayou serial killer, residents of the Bayou City are ditching Netflix true crime documentaries in favor of starting one of their own. Armed with smartphones, running shoes, and no shortage of meme-ready commentary, amateur detectives... Now I want you all to pay attention because here's the thing. I want you all to pay attention because they're really clowning these people in this article. I hadn't read it, but yeah, that's what it sounds like. They're clowning them. And they said this is some Scooby-Doo. Hold on. What did they call it? They said it's giving Scooby-Doo energy. Y'all hear this? Oh my goodness. Denise King said, how are they upset with citizens speaking on it? Exactly. Okay. This is all crazy. Some people are just going to have questions. I know I do. Maybe it isn't a serial killer, but please let us just, still be safe. And it is good for people to be concerned, in my opinion, because then maybe they'll do their due diligence to protect themselves, okay? And to be aware of their surroundings. This could keep people safe. Now, Dangerous says, even if water receded, the amount of bodies found during the time frame. Right. Exactly, beloved. Makes sense to me. But now listen to this. I'm going to read this again because they are so crazy talking about it's giving Scooby-Doo energy. In the midst of growing concerns over what some are now calling the Houston Bayou serial killer, residents of the Bayou City are ditching Netflix true crime documentaries in favor of starting one of their own. Armed with smartphones, running shoes, and no shortage of meme-ready commentary, amateur detectives have taken to the trails and to TikTok, hoping to crack a chilling case that has both horrified and captivated the city. Y'all hear it? I am so done. I love the way they wrote it. It's entertaining, but they need to stop. Now, it goes on to say, in just the past 2 weeks, 6 bodies have been recovered from Houston bayous, including Brays, Greens, White Oak, and Buffalo Bayou. The victims, according to officials, range in age from their early 20s to their mid-60s, and one remains unidentified. Now, while the Houston Police Department has not linked the deaths and explicitly denied the presence of a serial killer, many online aren't convinced. Now, authorities have stated that no cause of death has been finalized. See, that's what I'm telling you. So why was CBS reporting that stuff, talking about people drowned and then one did it to themselves? There is no cause as of yet that has been finalized. And only one case has been tentatively ruled as showing no signs of foul play. In all 6 cases, investigations are ongoing. Okay, so with that all being said, using hashtags like hashtag Buffalo Bayou Killer or hashtag Houston Serial Killer or hashtag Serial Killer and hashtag True Crime, Houstonians are documenting their investigations with a blend of genuine curiosity, community care, and peak internet humor. So one viral TikTok user shows, their name is @TravelWithRay, peering over a trail near Montrose with a caption saying, "I'm on it, y'all. The city needs Batman, but you've got me." Her video features dramatic music and ends with me trying to figure out where the Houston Bayou Unaliver is so we can enjoy our walks in peace. Another user, Atlanta Cucarachera, films the dark water under a bridge with a caption saying, "Out here hunting for the Buffalo Bayou serial killer," followed by the ominously funny, if he don't turn me into number 41. Okay, anyway, this is all crazy. So these people out here, boots on the ground. One box said, yes, watch around every corner. Okay, exactly. So, at the end of the day, I hope it isn't a serial killer. Okay, maybe there is some other reason for all of this occurring. But at the end of the day, people are not going to stop worrying and speculating until they get some answers. Okay, so rather than sitting here trying to, chastise people or scold them as though they're children, trying to shame them into just being concerned citizens and trying to figure out what in the world's going on, how about just be transparent and keep them updated every now and then? Okay, letting them know what, if any updates you have in the cases, if any witnesses have come forward, any new information has been collected or whatever. How about that? Rather than just speaking so harshly to these people who are clearly worried, as they should be. Okay? All crazy. So anyway, with that all being said, here's what we know about the bodies recovered in the bayou so far. 6 of them in just 2 weeks. Hold on, let me see if they have any descriptions. Yeah, they do. Hold on. Like, sub, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Okay, so now here's the thing. They said the past 2 weeks, a series of bodies have been recovered from Houston bayous, sparking community concern, widespread speculation online, and calls for answers. Officials have confirmed 6 cases since September the 15th, and investigators are working still to determine the causes of death. So far, none of the deaths have been officially linked, and leaders are urging caution as rumors continue to circulate. But here's what we do know. Who has been identified? Now, the Harris County Institute of Forensic Sciences has confirmed the names of 5 of the victims recovered from waterways since September the 15th. A 6th case involves an unidentified woman whose body was found downtown. As of October the 1st, the causes and manners of death are still pending in all 6 cases. Now, on September the 15th, in Brays Bayou near University of Houston, there was a 21-year-old Jade McKissick found. Then September the 15th, on the same day in Greens Bayou, there was Rodney Ricardo Chapman, who's 43. His body was found. Then the next day, on September the 16th, White Oak Bayou, Seth Joseph Hansen, age 24. His body was found. On September the 18th, Buffalo Bayou, Jensen. Okay, Dr. Jensen. Hold on, I'm trying to figure this out because they have. Oh, I'm sorry. That's Drive, not Doctor. Okay, my mistake. Okay, this is September the 18th, Buffalo Bayou on Jensen Drive. Arnulfo Alvarado, age 63. His body was found. September the 20th, Buffalo Bayou, North York Street. Michael Andrea Rice, age 66. His body was found. September the 26th, Buffalo Bayou, Commerce Street. Unidentified Black woman under 30 with an 888 tattoo on her wrist. Her body was found. Now, this year, at least 13 people have been pulled from Houston waterways. Officials said 24 people were recovered in 2024. Now, the Harris County Medical Examiner has not released causes of death in any of the 6 recent cases. And in one instance, officials said there was no foul play suspected in the death of University of Houston student Jade McKissick, but her final cause of death has not been released. So the unidentified woman recovered on September the 26th remains a key focus for investigators. She was described as 5'3", 120 pounds, with short black hair and a widow's peak. She was wearing a black t-shirt that said "Black and Beautiful," okay, jeans, and had a tattoo reading 888 on her inner wrist. Authorities are asking the public to help identify her. Now, the discovery of multiple bodies in a short time frame has fueled the online speculation. And see, this is the thing. Even though they say, beloveds, that there was 24 bodies found in 2024, the difference is those bodies were found over a period of time. Okay, over a span of time. These are being found so close together, it's disturbing. Because 6 in 2 weeks, 22 in 1 month, I think that's what they said. Now, I'll double check in just a second. But anyway, they say that the discovery of multiple bodies in a short time frame has fueled online speculation about a possible serial killer. But city leaders and law enforcement have firmly denied those claims, saying there's no evidence that a serial killer is loose on the streets of Houston. That's what Mayor John Whitmire said at a recent news conference, saying enough is enough on speculation out of respect for the families and also the 2.3 million Houstonians in our region. How is that disrespecting the families? Like, they convinced me with it. They really don't want people talking about this, which further causes me to have concern. Because what are y'all trying to hide? It seems like there's too much going on, too much anger and hostility, and like, everybody shut up, everybody be quiet, stop talking about it. Okay, so just like in the case of Kansas City, and that makes me further think they're hiding something, like they know something we don't, and they're trying to just shut everybody up. That's just what it seems like. Now, Houston Police Chief Jano Diaz Jr. also said investigators have found no evidence linking the cases. Officials noted that there are many reasons people may end up in the bayous, including accidents, homelessness, or mental health struggles. Right, this is all true and we know it, but why so close together? That's what makes it problematic. Despite those reassurances, safety concerns remain, especially among students. Can we enjoy being a student? Can we enjoy being free? Or do we have to watch around every corner? This is what Texas Southern University student Aaron Slaughter at a community meeting hosted by the city council member Letitia Plummer asked. Okay, so for many on campus, the death of UH student Jade McKissick has amplified the unease. Now, they say criminal justice experts also say there is no evidence of a serial killer pattern. Now, the short answer is no. Now, here's the thing. I don't even know how they can establish that until they find out the manner of death. Until they find out the causes of death of these people, I'm not sure how they can even say that. Now, the short answer is no, said Dr. Krista Gehring, a University of Houston downtown criminal justice professor, saying it's possible these are accidental deaths or people unfortunately taking themselves. Okay, there are a lot of alternative, less scary explanations. Well, of course there are, but again, they cannot act like people are not going to have questions. Okay, so she noted that serial killers typically follow specific victim patterns, which is not happening here. Garrett also said cameras near bayous might help provide both answers and peace of mind. The camera might actually capture where an individual falls into the bayou or has an accident or is intoxicated or whatever, because that's likely what's happening. She said that's likely what's happening. So we're supposed to think people are just getting intoxicated and falling in. Who's going out getting drunk and walking out there by that water by themselves? There might be 1 or 2 people that are doing that, but multiple people doing that? Yeah, ma'am, I don't believe you. Both experts and officials have urged people not to spread misinformation. Nobody's spreading misinformation. People are just saying what they think. So people are no longer allowed to have opinions. Y'all see how this is going? There's a real concern about perpetuating fear on social media or in the media, fear that may not be warranted, they said. Investigators are continuing to review each case with cause of death still pending. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Science is asking for help in identifying the woman with the 888 tattoo found downtown on September the 26th. Let me tell y'all something. I know what this is all about. I think I do anyway. I happen to believe that the reason they want everybody to shut the hell up is because they don't want social media to solve the crime before the police do, because then the police will look stupid. Do y'all think that may have something to do with it as well? That they want people to stop talking about it because the police don't want the people on social media figuring it all out before they do? What do y'all think? I mean, there's got to be a reason they're so upset. And then talking about spreading disinformation. You're only spreading disinformation if you say 100% conclusively that there is a serial killer. Nobody knows that. People are simply speculating and giving their own thoughts and opinions, okay, which they're absolutely allowed to do. Or did I miss the memo? Did all of that change? Okay, did any of that change? I have several questions. With that all being said, I have a couple of more videos I want to show you all. One of them is something that I thought was interesting with what Colin Kaepernick had to say. Hold on, I'm going to go to that in just a second. Let me just pull that up. So now remember, Colin Kaepernick has an organization where they pay for these second autopsies in the cases where police, usually it's for people who have died at the hands of police. But in the case of Trey Reed, that was someone who was found hanging from a tree, and he still paid for it. And I appreciate that, as should we all. But here is the thing. I want you all to listen to what Colin Kaepernick says that they have found when they have these autopsies done. Okay, Lexington Walker says, Queen is correct. Social media could solve the crime before law enforcement. Yes, and they hate that. They don't want to do that. Okay, they don't want to do that, and I absolutely know it. Okay, and here's the thing. When I was in college, you know, some of us criminal justice students actually figured out who killed Chandra Levy. I'm not even joking. We literally found out who killed Chandra Levy. Everybody was thinking it was that congressman, okay? But it wasn't. And so, I mean, to me, it was kind of common sense. I'm like, how did the police miss this? So we compiled a bunch of information, okay, and had it sent to the Modesto police. And it was exactly what we said it was. Do you think they gave us any credit? They never mentioned us in the news. Okay. And we had actually been at CNN and everything. Bottom line is the police want the credit for it, whether they solved it or not. Okay. And that's just facts on facts. Now, at the end of the day, that's what it looks like is going on here. That's just my opinion. Okay. So here we go. These last two videos.
One of our key initiatives now is our autopsy initiative. That came out a little over 18 months ago that got launched. And that gives free secondary autopsies to any families of loved ones who have been killed in a police-related death. And the key factor there in police-related deaths is oftentimes the sheriff is the coroner or the pathologist who is doing the autopsy, they have a relationship with the police department. So there's a lot of bias in the autopsies. So we have independent pathologists that families can come to us and we will pay for the autopsy for them. Right. So no cost to the family. And they'll be able to get a second autopsy to get clarity on what happened. And there are scenarios that what the first autopsy was, that's what happened. We have also had a lot of scenarios that have led to lawsuits. We've had scenarios where we were supposed to be doing the second autopsy and a first autopsy was never done, even though it was reported to be done.
Wow.
So you all heard that? Sometimes they would lie and say there was an autopsy conducted and give results. And there was absolutely no autopsy done. Do y'all hear this? The lies that they tell. And this is not just the police. This is the mayors that will lie and go along with them sometimes, and the medical examiners. Okay, the medical examiners will go along with this crap. They're the ones that release the foolishness. Do y'all hear this? But they want us to sit down and be quiet while they tell us what's going on. Sometimes they lie. And people don't trust them. And so people have questions.
I am calling for the arrest of Randolph Rudy Seals Jr., the Bolivar County coroner of Mississippi. This is the same coroner that put out the preliminary investigation or a preliminary autopsy of Trey Reed, the man that everybody, including this man, said that he put himself in a tree and then hung himself. His official statement here, dated September 15, 2025, at the current time, we are conducting a thorough death investigation based on the preliminary examination. We can confirm that the deceased did not suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or any injuries consistent with an assault. At this time, there is no evidence to suggest that the individual was physically attacked before his death. The remains of the deceased are in care of the coroner's office and will be transported to Mississippi State Crime Lab for an autopsy. Further information will be provided, yada, yada, yada. This, of course, is coming on the heels of the breaking news that the secondary independent autopsy funded by Colin Kaepernick has revealed that there is blunt force trauma to the back of Reed's head. So I am calling for the arrest of Randolph Rudy Seals Jr., that is the Bolivar County coroner, and any other official that was involved in covering up this hate crime. A black man was lynched in Mississippi days after Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And these officials just said, yeah. So everybody involved in this needs to be arrested. Everybody that was involved in investigating this needs to be charged. This is absolutely unacceptable, and this is what white supremacy looks like in this country. Covering up lynchings. Yeah.
Another thing is shout out to all the white people who are being honest and calling a spade and saying exactly what it is. Okay, while they're trying to paint narratives, false narratives in the media and law enforcement and tell us that it is something that it absolutely is not. Okay, so shout out to him and all the other white people, like I said, who will absolutely tell the truth about what goes on in this country because they know. Okay, in some cases, they know better than we do. Okay, please pay attention. But like I told you all, as far as this, and here's the thing, Trey Reed's family is absolutely going to sue, as they should, and they're not only, in my opinion, they should not only sue the university, they should sue the police as well. Okay, but now they know who the 4 students are that got into that dispute with Trey Reed, and hopefully they'll get some consequences because I'm pretty sure they're the ones that did it. That all remains to be seen, but if they are the ones, whoever did that to him, I hope they pay. Okay, I hope they pay with everything in them. Now, as I was saying about the police, not wanting social media to solve the crime before them, let me just remind you how the police got it all so wrong in the Chandra Levy investigation. Like I said, when I was in college, okay, back in 2009, we actually solved that case. So let's talk about it, because here's the thing. They first of all thought that she was messing around with this senator, which she was. Okay, she was. They literally ruined that man's life. Okay, because they just focused on him. You see, that's the thing about the police. Sometimes they have tunnel vision. Once they zero in on a person, they stay there. It's like they can't think outside the box. It's like they're so dead set. They thought Representative Gary Condit did it. He was married. He was a congressman from California. And he and this young lady were supposedly having an affair. So, of course, they went straight to blame him. But when we were looking into this, however, one thing that myself and a guy by the name of Chip was not a college student. This was a man who was, he's like a psychic. He's into paranormal stuff or whatever. He's a psychic. And you all know that I'm prophetic myself. So he was working on this as well. But the thing was, we felt like it was this person who'd already been arrested. It was a El Salvadorian immigrant. His name was Ingmar Guandic. Okay, he was an undocumented immigrant, and he'd already been arrested for attacking women in Rock Creek Park. The interesting thing also is the fact that they had searched the park and they had not found Chandra's body. Okay, so they were like, oh no, she's not in there. They said she was not in that park, but she absolutely was. They just missed her. Okay. She was found May the 22nd of 2002. Okay, May the 2nd or May the 22nd of 2002, and it was like a cold case. They couldn't figure it out at the end of the day. So long story short, like I said, it turned out to be this man who'd already been in some trouble, who'd already been arrested. And he actually had strangled her, if I recall correctly, strangled her with her leggings. And then so Here's why some people were skeptical when we were saying that it was him. Because they felt like, well, he, attacked some women in the park before, but he never killed anybody. He was just assaulting them, assaulting them. Well, the bottom line is he probably didn't kill them because they probably didn't really put up a fight. He probably was able to successfully subdue them. Who knows? But Chandra Levy, who was a criminal justice student herself, I believe that she put up a fight, that she struggled with him. And the fact that she struggled with him infuriated him. And so he took her out. That's what I think. That's the conclusion we came to. But nonetheless, we were right about it. And that's who was arrested and convicted in her murder. So like I said, we never got an ounce of credit. The people at CNN knew we did because we went to CNN. And in fact, Nancy Grace. Remember I told y'all that Nancy Grace was good friends with one of my professors, Cheryl McCullum. We called her Chief Mac. Yeah, that's how we were talking with CNN at the end of the day. But they didn't put any of that on the news. They put it on their website. But they didn't put that on the news after the police, snatched up the credit. But anyway, so with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I'm not going to edit this video because the woman that said that word, the S word, that was on the news. That was on CBS. So I'm quite sure that ScrewTube is not going to put a banner under their channel or, age restrict their video, so it shouldn't be a problem as long as I didn't say it. However, if I see that they have age restricted it later, if I find out, then I'll edit it. But until then, I'm just not going to because I don't want to remove the chat. Okay, I really love when the chat's on here because y'all have good conversations and comments, and the people that watch it on the replay like to read the comments. So with that being said, listen, I will see you all back at about 6:30. We're going to be talking about Trump and his nefariousness and anything else that's trending. Okay. So each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Okay. If you are a member of the channel and you missed yesterday's true crime broadcast for members only, please go and check that out. If you missed the broadcast last night, also about Kyron Lacey and how they framed that poor young man, please go back and check that out as well. All right. You all know that I talk about multiple topics at a time, so you don't want to miss anything. So with that being said, love you all to like, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. I already said that. Anyway, I will talk to you all later, beloveds. Okay. Don't forget to like the video on your way out, and I will see you all later. Peace.
With that gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunsa. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. That's See right. A bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got